Well, this is Bill Boerum speaking, and I'm very delighted in tribute to International Women's Month to having an interview with one of the women I admire the most. And she may not know that too well, but I've seen many of her activities. So I am with this morning for her, and evening for me with Somaia Ramish. Somaia Ramish. And I'm very happy to be with you. And we first met almost 5 years ago at the Japanese embassy in Washington, D.C., at a large reception. And you were there with other people from the Provisional Council or the Provincial Council of Herat, as I recall. And we'll talk more about that. But my interest in Afghanistan in particular actually started at a very young age, a very long time ago, when I was collecting stamps. And that was back in the 1950s, the early 1950s. And a very distinctive picture on the stamps was of the king at the time, Mohammad Zahir Shah, who was the last king of Afghanistan, as you probably know. And but I do remember collecting those stamps. So as a young boy, Afghanistan was something that came to my attention. So I've looked forward to the opportunities for some kind of connection with Afghanistan. Um, I think one of the things that has stood out for me has been your interest in poetry, and more than interest. I mean, you are a poet, and it certainly seems in so much of what you say publicly and write publicly is in a poetic form. So, how did poetry become so influential in your life?
First of all, I say hello to you and our friends, and good day. I'm happy here, meet you after a long time, and it's an opportunity to speak about some issue. Yeah, thanks to give me this time. About the poetry, I should say that I started writing when I was a teenager. And I spent my childhood as an immigrant, and I dropped out of school because I was a refugee. There was war in my country, and always I wished for peace in my country, and for me and other girls of my country to be able to study like the all girls all around the world. There was always this feeling with me that there is an injustice going on. And that was the motivation for me that starting to writing. Yeah, I was a teenager that start to write some things. And when the Taliban left Afghanistan, we come back in Afghanistan, and I starting to writing more strongly because in Afghanistan, the situation of women was not acceptable for me. And on that time, I don't have any more tools or weapon to protest or to do some things. And only my pen was my only weapon. And because of that, I started strongly to writing poetry. And after that, I work with different newspaper. I write article reports about the woman. Yeah, and that on that time and up to now, just I wanted to be a voice for my generation and for women all women in Afghanistan. Yeah, it was very important for me. Yeah, and as you know, I published. Three poetry books, and some of my poetry translated in English, uh, Urdu, Hindi, and also as well as Russian. And And also maybe you know that recently I get a prize for my this collection and for my creative writing and poetry. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the prize. I think that was a medal and a prize, I think it was for the Call of the Motherland.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Well, that's wonderful that that was recognized. I think you were maybe the first Afghan or Afghan woman to receive that prize in Russia.
Yeah, yeah. Fortunately, yeah, I was the first one, man and woman, first one that I can receive this novel. And before that, no one from Afghanistan can get this medal or prize, and it's a big honor for me because one of the most important things in my life is literature, and also my poetry is a big important part in my life, and because of that I'm so happy. Yeah.
Oh, well, absolutely, yes. Um, so, uh, in your poetry, well, this, I think, uh, the book or one of the books was being printed in Persian. Is that right?
Yes, my poetry published in Persian, and also one part of my poetry was translated in English by Farzaneh Mari, and it's the name of book is Lot Poems Like Guns. It's a part of my poetry that chose by the name of this book. And also this book right now is in Amazon. The friends can get from the Amazon site, and also some of my poetry make to sign by Jocelyn Hagan too. And 2 years
Oh, yes.
ago, we had a very good performance in uh, from Jocelyn Hagan, and also I was invited there. Yeah.
If you would say again the name of the book that's available on Amazon, what's that title?
I wrote poems like guns,
Love Poems?
like guns.
Okay, very good. Well,
Yeah.
I sense that in addition to the advocacy and concern about human rights and more specifically women's rights, that there are other themes in your poetry. If you might mention what some of those themes might be.
Actually, yes. In most of my poetry, you can see a vision or a voice of a feminine protest. Yeah. When I'm a woman and I live in a country like Afghanistan, that there is not the women don't have their real role, and lots of violence are there. I should be right. I should be right about myself. I should be right about other women and girls, and or live there. Because of that, yeah, it's maybe a part of my advocacy. Yeah. I can say it should be a part of advocacy. Yeah.
I haven't seen any of your writings as a journalist, but I know that you've worked for several newspapers.
Yeah.
So that's been, again, a part of your professional life. Um, Looking more to influences on your life, I sense that Persia and the literature of Persia has been an influence. How did that come to pass?
Um, it's beside that, it's my mother language. It's one of the classical and very powerful language in the world. And because of that, and because my interest to literature and art, I decided to studying to Persian literature. And now, yeah, I started my PhD studies in Delhi University, and yeah, it's going on. Yeah.
I saw that started in January, that you're going for your PhD.
Yeah.
And I think it was at the same university that you got your MA
Yeah,
in,
yeah,
in
exactly, yes.
2018. So that was only not even 3 years ago you got your master's.
Yeah.
Um, well, also as to the Persian influence, I think, where the province is located of Herat, that's adjacent to Persia, is it not? And there's a province there called Khorasan, Persian
Uh,
province.
it's a really big story about big Khorasan or Great Khorasan. You know, in the past, it was an area that called it Khorasan, that it's part of the political Iran right now, part of the Afghanistan right now. It was a very big area that the people speak in Persian, and they have a culture, and the area was called Khorasan, yes. And in this part of area, Herat, that's my province, yes, it was part of Khorasan. And yeah, and also Balkh, also some part of the north of Afghanistan, yeah, was belong to this area. And it's a very huge and big cultural area in the history of us, yeah.
Well, you've referred to that area as the Florence of Asia, that it is a city of science, mysticism, and art.
Yeah, exactly, yes. Exactly, yes. It's also like the Florence in Western, Herat is Florence in East, you know. It's a very important area for in all the history. And it's, yeah, it's very famous in literature and culture and history. And yeah, we are most of people that they are literated, and they are already very famous in maybe science and art and cultural and different parts, yeah. Because
Mhm,
of that, Herat was always very important city or province, yeah, in different periods.
mhm. Well, I think I would assume that India has also been an influence upon you. You mentioned that one of your books was published in Hindi, and of course you've got your master's in Delhi, and now embarked on the PhD program in Persian studies, I believe, Persian
Yeah.
literature. So, in as far as India goes, what drew you to India? Because most of your life you've grown up in Herat.
For me, it was very interesting when and different trip I was in India. I visited from some historical place, and also when I studied about history of India, that one of the big king family in India was in Persian, Babur. They speak in Persian, and when you travel in historical place in India, you can saw some sign in Persian, some poetry in Persian, in some mosque, in some very historical place. And maybe about 100 years ago, the Persian was one of the powerful and live language in India that people speak with that. And also we have very important poet, Indian poet that they wrote in Persian, like Bidil, like Iqbal, like Amir Khosrow Dehlavi. You know, they are very, very such a powerful figure in Persian literature. They write in Persian, and it was always for me interesting this side. And when I want studying, I decided that I want to more understand about this culture and about this, you know, connection that we have and we had in the past and up to now we have with this country. Because of that, yeah, I decided to studying in New Delhi, my Persian, and it's very wonderful for me when I saw that my professor and or some other uh, teacher or you know, in university, that they speak Persian very clearly, very in high, you know, a level that you can imagine for the second language a person can speak about that. It's very interesting for me, and it's a big experience and interesting experience for me. And also always people ask me, oh, you study Persian in New Delhi, why? It's interesting for them, but when you realize that the Persian language is a part of the history of India, and you know about that this language has very specific position in this country in the past and also right now, it will be more interesting, and you can realize me that it's very nice choice that I have.
Well, you're very fortunate. That's right. And from what you've said, you know, it's unusual that a language is spoken in another country, in effect,
Yeah,
a distant country, and that the type of language spoken is a pure language because you have instances, for example, of Spanish in South America, which is not like the Spanish in Spain.
yeah.
So it is fortunate that it's spoken in a classical sense in Delhi, and that's a wonderful connection and fortunate for you that you're able
Yeah,
to do that. Well, getting on to your advocacy for women's rights, um, you then got into politics and had a very good vote, I understand, running for the provincial council. So I think that's a larger area than the city of Herat itself. Is that right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, my candidacy for the provincial council seems like a big and impossible task for me at the first. I was very young, you know, I was just 25, 25th when I candidated as the provincial council member. And, you know, that situation I had, it was, you know, it's a very big challenge because uh, I didn't have any particular religion or ethnic group. I don't have financial supporting or politics supporting. I was just a young woman, a literated woman with some civil activist experience, and yeah. At the first, I think I'm alone with a small group, and but I decided I should run for that, and it was not easy in a traditional province like Herat, but fortunately I can do that, and I was success, and I with a high what I can enter the provincial council. and I worked as representative of women and representative of the new generation. And for 4 years, I act as the member of provincial council, in Herat.
So what year was that you were elected?
It was about 6,500 votes.
Oh, was it in 15, maybe in 2015?
Yeah, 2014. It was
2014,
2014
right, right.
election. Yeah.
And I understand though that you got a very big vote.
Yeah.
Well, good for you.
Yeah. Almost 6,000. Yeah, more than 6,000 votes. Yeah.
Now, in that election, was it a district election or was it how many people were on the council up for election that year? Was it by a district or was it the top 10 people got elected or top 5 people? What was the structure?
Yeah, it was the election was in province, and from all district, from all area, people just
Oh, it was at large.
candidated.
We call it at large.
Yes, and I think about if I can remember, around 300. Around 300 people were candidate, and they ran to get 19 chair of province. 19 chair. And from these 19, 5 chair were belongs to women. And
I
in
see.
women,
Right.
I was the first woman. And
So you got the most votes of any woman.
Yeah.
And you got one of the 5 seats for women.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, apart from your advocacy on the council, the provincial council, what other activities did you particularly enjoy there? I mean, you were able to be a spokesman for women's rights, but were there any other governance or political issues that that you were pushing at the time? I know that you're a very compassionate person and had looked after the health of the populace and older people, what have you. So what else were you doing? What were some of the issues you were pushing, if there were 1 or 2 major issues that you pushed?
When you're a political or social activist, always you can see different maybe problem or challenge in life, and you decided do some things that maybe very small things, but these small things in long time can bring some positive change. Because of that, mostly I try to do some things that I thought I should do that, and I tried to candidate in provincial council, and I ran for that, and I succeeded. And also I published a New Thinker organization, and that also in this organization we had different and very important activity in social part, in cultural part, and we just tried to help the group of people that they need maybe this help or they need this advocacy, and just we try to do the things that we thought that it should be done. And we do that.
Well, I think the time we met you, of course, you were on the council and you were en route to Council Bluffs, Iowa, which was for, I think, the signing ceremony between Herat and Council Bluffs. So that was probably quite an experience to go to that part of the United States.
Yeah, you know, it's such a beautiful and wonderful experience I have. Yeah, you know, when at first about 12 years ago, me and a group of my colleagues published a New Thinkers organization, and we have, as I mentioned, different activities and. Before that, we decided that publish the Herat Sister City Committee, and I selected as the director of this committee. And we tried to sister Herat with one of the United States city, and we just work on this project about 7 years. Yeah. And finally we can make this very beautiful relationship between Herat city and also Council Bluffs, Iowa, United States. And from that time up to now, we have very wonderful program. And our first exhibition was a photo exhibition by my sister Ismail, and this exhibition, you know, just showed the uh, picture of women in Herat and women in Iowa, and it was very amazing that we find very common things, very things that women in this city same together. Yeah. And this photo exhibition can get the prize of annual university in 2017, and up to now we have planned to work to some program together, and we have planned for to show to connect the people of two cities together, that they can find a different picture from two cities. You know, it's very interesting for me when I travel to maybe United States or different country. You know, people actually have just a picture of war from Afghanistan. You know, I know it's a part of our life. And beside this war picture, also we have very some light picture from Afghanistan. And always I try to bold this part of life of maybe woman or youth in Afghanistan, that must support this light picture. And yes, and now we have very good sister, very kind sister as the conservatives in Iowa, and we have very nice connection there. Yeah.
Yes. Well, that project, the Carada project that our mutual friend Rick Burns
Yeah.
does, has been a long-standing project, and it's very good to hear from you, your perspective of the results of that, and the energy that's generated between the participants in each city for the benefit in Afghanistan, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
after your time on the council, you ran for the parliament in 2019, and
Yeah.
that was on the presidential level, a very close election, which was disputed for a number of
Yeah.
months. And I think there were like 13 or 18 candidates that were running for president. And I don't know
Yeah.
what the political structure is there, but so what about your race for parliament? What motivated you to run for the parliament?
Uh, you know, when it's I think 15 years that I acting as a woman in Herat province, uh, as a politics or social figure. And you know, I think people believed me that I want to do something for them. And they wanted me. You know, if I want to say honestly, it was the wish of my people that they believed me that I ran for parliament. Because you know, when the parliament election was holding, just I was become a mom with my twins.
That's true.
And they were only 6 months, and I was not ready physically, or I was not ready for that. But when I had different meeting with people, that I realized that it's their wishes, and also in other part, it was one of my responsibility. Always I tried and think that politics in Afghanistan should be changed. And in politics in Afghanistan, I believe that we need to some new figure, new generation, or literated people, the people that don't come from the ethnic group, from religious group. The people can make the new Afghanistan. Because of that, I think it's my responsibility that work for this wish. And because of that, I ran for parliament. And yeah, I try my best. I try. In that situation, it was not easy for me, but I tried my best, and I fighting to get this chair. But okay, with some reason, I could not succeed. But I don't think that I'm not succeed, but because lots of problem there were that time. But yeah. I tried.
What was the structure of the parliamentary election? Was it the entire parliament up for election, and how many seats were up?
Also, in parliament election, each province compare with province, and we just ran for 21 chairs, yeah. And from the province in Herat, we had 21 chairs, and from these chairs, 5 are belongs to women. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, well, that was from what you said, a difficult time for you. I mean, you went because your supporters and people who believed in you asked you to do that, but you were just becoming or were a mother. So that's a difficult, challenging time. So you were talking about the representation of women in civic life. I mean, right now there are negotiations going on with the Taliban, and there's a whole group of people that are doing those negotiations. And I think you pointed out that only one of these negotiators is a woman. And I don't know whether it looks like there are like about 15 or 20 men. And that's, I think, unfortunate but that is reflective, I would think, of the attitudes in the country for the lack of representation of women. And I think certainly people in the West and in the US in particular would have, we have our national security concerns about a coalition government with the Taliban. And even President Trump was in favor of those negotiations, wanted to have a truce, and then the truce fell apart, I think. I don't know all the details, but the other aspect is what we're so familiar with at the time, that Afghanistan came on the radar of the American public. We learned about the regime of the Taliban towards women and their control over women's lives. So that would certainly be something of concern currently, not just the U.S. concern for its own national interest, but also for what the outcome could be for women if the Taliban end up controlling the government. So
Yeah. It's yeah, actually it's one of the big concern for all women in this period of time. We are in a sensitive situation, and the peace dialogue are going on, and the situation of women in this negotiation is not good. It's very weak, and um, it's I'm worried, and always I write about this, and also I uh, advocated for this issue, but I don't know why no one wants to hear woman voice right now. The government of Afghanistan uh, doesn't hear the woman voice. Also, the international country, United States, and as well the Taliban, they don't matter about the woman, and it's very, I think, it's very. Uh, it's not good situation of women. As you mentioned, the regime of Taliban was the worst and black period of life of Afghan women. And the things that I believe that the Taliban are a violent and extremist group, that they don't believe to women rights.
Right.
They
You
don't
know,
accept the woman right, the human rights. And up to now, they don't change in their mind and to their rule. Just they told that the woman rights from the Sharia, but they have very fundamentalist view from the Sharia, and also as well from Islam. And it's very dangerous for women of Afghanistan, and we need to a big advocacy for that, and with a big unit of women that just be in be advocated, and speak about this, all consider and worries that we have this time. Peace is very good. All the people around the world wish for peace, but the woman of Afghanistan does not victim of this peace. We don't want another time that be victim. You know, um, when
well, I think
Taliban
maybe,
speak about the Emirat and about an Islamic regime, that regime don't believe to equality, to freedom, to women rights, to human rights. How we can bring peace with this reality? You know, it's very important, and as we see in the peace process, in the peace dialogues, women don't have any real role. Also, that one woman that participated in the programs in the peace process, she couldn't speak anything.
uh,
They are all men. They don't hear you. They don't care about you. It's just a symbol. It's nothing, I think.
well, it's very ominous, I think, because women's issues may not get on the table, may not be negotiated. They may not be specifically enforced with an agreement. They may
Yeah.
not be protected. So that's certainly of great concern. I think you raise a very good point that the international community should somehow have some input to protect women, because if nothing is done and nothing is said, then they're going to come out under the Taliban regime in effect. So
Women always, in the period of Taliban, in the war, in this also democracy period, the women are a big part of victim, you know. And now, when they want to bring the peace, the women are not there.
Right.
What's the right of us?
Right.
We work, we fight for bring democracy, we make the society, we do all the things, but when you want to bring the peace, we are not.
Right.
In
Well,
fact,
that's
the men fighting together, and also men want to bring peace. And in these two, war and peace, the women are active, and always women forgot. Yeah.
well, well, a sad situation, and hopefully somehow it would not happen.
Yeah.
But even today, there was conversation about Afghanistan during President Biden's first press conference. There was reference to how much longer American troops would stay in the country. So there are Republicans and Democrats that just want to get the troops out. Um, and if you do that, you will lose leverage in this arena, which is so important. Well,
Yeah.
let me return now to you mentioned the New Thinkers social and cultural organization, which I
Yeah.
think you said you founded a few years ago. Are you a member of the board of directors, or are you the director of the organization? What's your role?
I am one of the founder, and also I'm the director of the New Thinker organization. Yeah.
Right, right. Well, that's so. What is the new thinking that the new thinkers have? What's is that? How would you describe that?
Um, uh, it's an organization that work in cultural and social part, and we as a young group and new thinkers group, we just founded this organization in 2006. And from that, since that time up to now, we hold and we have different activity in Herat, in different part, also in women rights, and some cultural program, also for peace, for development of women role in society, and for improvement of women, for awareness for us, for different parts. Just we work together, and it's one of the um, different experience that I have in the civil activist part of my life. And up to now, we have some programs in New Thinkers, mostly for youth and for women. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, it sounds like this is an organization with you as the co-founder and the director. This is a perfect vehicle or organization for you to carry out your advocacy on a
Yeah.
number of fronts. So that works very well. And I think you do have meetings or conferences as well as published works. Is that correct?
I mentioned about that. Uh, we hold different seminar for women, and also that we speak about the woman rights, and about the women should know about their rights. It's one of our activity, and also we hold the international seminar, and also some exhibition, photo exhibition, art exhibition, and also some
Uh-huh.
dialogue for peace, and some cultural and international program between the, Herat and the other country that we just hold that as an international festival in Herat city. And also, we had some programs for studying for youth. We had a library and they come and studying. We choose a book and we had period for reading books and criticize the books and speak about some important or some things that we need the youth should speak about that. And also we had we published in Herat city we don't have any movie or cinema. It's not allowed that people go to movie exactly for women. And we just made a home that people and women come and watch some movies, and then we speak about the movie and we criticize the movie. It's a small cinema in our New Thinker organization, and yeah, it was one part of our activities. And also different things that always we thought that we should, or the society need this activity or this voice. Yeah. And also we had a magazine that we published, but because some financial problems we couldn't continue that, but we had in the past. And also I was published also a radio for Herati girls. It
Oh,
was the
yes, right,
Shahzad radio. Yeah.
right.
And we just for 1 year we had broadcasted, but after that, for some reasons, for some problems and challenge we couldn't continue that very strong voice of woman. And up to now, just we try um, some things in New Thinkers for the Herat and also Afghanistan society.
Well, that's wonderful. That's great to hear. And it certainly is emblematic. It's symbolic of all of your advocacy over the years that you're able to put these many different types of approaches together. And, I was concerned about your personal safety and security when you were in the politics. You were quite an outspoken advocate. And so everything turned out there okay. So, well, this has been a wonderful interview. Very happy to learn more about your many activities. And of course, I do want to mention that there was reference made to you are a mother of 2 children,
Yeah.
and you are a wife of a diplomat of the country. So those are other responsibilities that you have. So, well, I hope we can get this word out about the good work that
Thank
you
you.
continue to do. And I think this makes me very happy to have had this interview with you during International Women's Month. So hopefully we'll be in touch again and not over such a long period of time. So
Uh, Thank you so much. It was for me what a wonderful meeting you, and also beautiful interview. And thank you uh, give me this opportunity to speak about some things about the woman in Afghanistan, and also in my life some things. And thank you so much. And I wish always for justice, equality, and freedom for all women around the world.
what a wonderful way to end our conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.